Everybody, chat with nobody else is to get their notifications and get jumped on with us, and we will be rolling here in a few seconds. All right, got a few people jumping on with us, getting ready to roll. Thanks for being here, guys. As always, comments, questions, go ahead, throw them up there. We'll sure try to get to them as we roll through the chat. And comments are working on YouTube. There we go. Vic's on with us on Facebook, because I hadn't seen any comments on Facebook yet. Usually we get a few hellos on there. Was kind of curious as to whether or not that was going to work tonight. There we go. Kevin's on with us. Thanks for being here, guys. So it looks like we're working everywhere. Jerry's on with us. James from India is on. So that's good news. Things are working. Dan in Defiance is here. Thanks for being here. Adam's on. Our buddy from England is with us. Thanks for being back, England. Glenn from Minnesota, he's always with us. Jason from Missouri is on with us on YouTube. Dawn's on Nashville or Iceville. Well, Dawn, you can keep the ice because it's finally decent here. So I don't want any more ice. I'm sick of it. Joe from Illinois is on. Who we got on YouTube jumping on? Chris is on with us again. Lee's on with us again. David from Ohio. A lot of familiar names. Glad you guys keep coming back and hanging out with us every week on Sunday Night Chat. Because, like I said, if you guys weren't here, it'd be pretty boring of me sitting here talking to a computer. But anyway, it's a lot of fun. You guys are what makes it fun, and I'm glad we're all still here and doing it. Tonight, what do we got to talk about? Obviously, there's all kinds of things going on. There's at least a chance of some things starting to happen this year, so we're going to keep our fingers crossed on that. Tim's on with us. Let's see, lots of stuff popping up. My buddy Robert from Opie, Kansas is on. Adam, what is the thing in the background? Looks like goes into an exhaust manifold. Yeah, there. Chris has already popped up with it. It's a valve cover off 426 Hemi. That's exactly what it is. Joe from Minnesota just jumped on with us on Facebook. But yeah, that's what it is, Adam. It is a valve cover for a 426 Hemi, the Gen 2 Hemis from the 60s up into 71. Alan from Oregon. Leon, Kansas on with us. Thanks for being here, Leon. Russell from upstate New York. Wow, we got a great crowd on already from all over the place. So, but yeah, the valve covers seem to be popular backdrops. Always get a lot of comments on them, so we try to mix those in with some signs and things like that. But, you know, like we've talked about before, Myrtle Beach just jumped on with us. Thanks for being here, Randy. You know, I think, valve covers are kind of the undersung hero of memorabilia and decorations, because you don't see a lot of them. Man, there's some great valve covers out there. Scott Andrews is driving down the road. He went ahead and jumped on with us. He's rolling through Oklahoma, and he even jumped on with us. Thanks for being here, Scott. James is back on with us on YouTube. 65 F100's on with us. Leo from Detroit's on with us. So we're kind of covering all over the place. Plus, we got our buddy from England on with us again as well. So thanks for being here, everybody. But as always, like I said, keeping our fingers crossed that things continue to progress and things continue to happen this year for all of us, so that we have stuff to do that we can enjoy and have fun with our hobby. Lots of things to talk about tonight. Did a little more research on the Stalantis and the Chrysler stuff we'll talk about. Some interesting auction announcements this week, so we'll touch on a little bit of that. We'll get into, of course, an old car magazine and check out some cool stuff there as well. Full new inventory, all the normal stuff. So, yeah, we can do hubcaps, Robert. I just haven't. That's something else we can start mixing in there. We can do some hubcaps for decoration, because that is true, and you see more hubcaps than you see valve covers for decorative pieces. But you know, Robert's my hubcap buddy. He's a hubcap guru. He's got a Facebook page, Hubcap Collectors of the U.S. So if you got hubcap questions, that's the guy to go to. Check out his page. Hudson's back on with us again. Hudson hasn't been with us in a little while. Glad he made it back. So anyway, what else is going on in the world? Well, like I said, there's been a lot of talk about the Stellantis deal. There's been a lot of talk about Chrysler's future. things like that. So I did a little bit of more research into that. We'll talk about that. That's usually some good, interesting discussion. I'm surprised about what I did find when I actually did a little research on some of this stuff. Obviously, and the more I looked into it, Vic says hubcaps don't move if you lose the valve cover. That's true too. Hubcaps don't go anywhere if you got a valve cover coming off. But of course, that's where a lot of people started collecting hubcaps, is when you find them on the side back. You used to be able to find them on the side of the road. So, do I have any gremlins? There's one or two gremlins out there, James. Don't do much with them. My daughter loves gremlins, so I'll kind of keep them around in case we can find a good one for her one of these days. But the more I looked at the Stalantis news from a couple of different standpoints, because obviously, and it kind of, I've seen a lot of headlines that, SRT's dead, they're killing off the SRT brand and this and that. So I looked into that, and what kind of disgusted me was the fact that they are turning news in our industry into like typical mainstream news and treating it that way. SRT is not dead. They broke up the engineering team and put those people into the standard engineering groups. The Challenger Charger guys went back to Challenger Charger, the Jeep guys went back to Jeep, et cetera, et cetera. So that's kind of what, and then the headline said SRT's dead, SRT's dead. Well, SRT is not dead. According to the information I read, there are still going to be vehicles branded as SRT. They're just not going to have a separate engineering team for SRT at this point. Now, obviously, there's a lot of stuff that, is going to play into that. You never know what's going to happen on a merger like this. I lived through one of them, the Daimler-Chrysler merger. That was when I was with Chrysler, which was supposedly, quote unquote, a merger, but didn't really turn into a merger of equals, so to speak. So, there's, you never know what's going to happen for sure on a deal like that. But that's what they're putting out there right now. There's a lot of talk about Chrysler. There's a lot of people worried about, Chrysler losing their image and their brand, or losing the entire brand. And, that is Chrysler is still a flagship brand, but it needs some revamping and things like that. So that's kind of what that's what they're looking for. Lots of comments popping up. Let me get to a few of these. I'm sure I'm going to miss a few because then, like I said, I always try to catch what I can. My buddy Robert, as long as Ralph Gillis is around, there's going to be an exciting lineup, and that's a great point. Ralph Gillis with Dodge is an amazing individual, and he's a huge car guy. Let's see. Couple things popping up. Adam says something about the Viper. They killed the Viper in 2017. That happened, a couple of years ago. So that was already over, said and done with, before any of this was announced. So, but actually they shut the Viper down during the FCA merger and then brought it back once everything stabilized. So, there's always a possibility of that happening too with some of this stuff. Maybe things get shelved for a year or two, but they may come back too. So, let's see, lots of stuff popping up here. Let me get caught up. I think I've missed a few already, but let's see. Ironhead Garage is on with us. My buddy Grant, Straight Six fan, is here. Thanks for being here, Grant. Let's see. What's the most unique vehicle in the yards, Kirby? Wow, that's a pretty broad question with, about 1,400 cars in stock. That's going to be a different answer for basically every single person that, looks at stuff. They're all going to take it differently. So what the most unique vehicle is going to be kind of a, the guy that likes pickups is going to have something totally different than the guy who likes, muscle cars, things like that. The Mopar guy is going to like something different than a Chevy guy. So, we've got a lot of videos that we did in the yard. And so if you've got something that, be sure to check out the videos. I'm sure you're going to see cool stuff on there. And there, the easiest way to find those is, since you are on Facebook, is go to YouTube where you can find all the videos in one shot. So, Scott said that the add-on breather tube on the Hemi valve cover was an old Circle Track deal. So that was news to me that I didn't know anything about. 71 to 75 Impalas or Caprices, 2 doors. I've only got one that's kind of somewhat still intact. I've got a 73 that's kind of still intact. I've got several cars, but the only one that's kind of halfway still there is that 73. So, Anyway, I think we're caught up. 79 Tasman just jumped on. We're caught up with what I caught. Some of it scrolled off my screen before I got to them, so I apologize for that. I try to do what I can to keep up. Sometimes it gets a little busy. So anyway, so that's kind of what I found about with Stalantis. And like I said, it was kind of disgusting to see the typical, news media headlines for attention, kind of like when they said, Edelbrock is closing their offices. They closed their office in California and moved them. That's all they did. But, it was a lot bigger of a shocker to say that they were closing. So that's kind of one of those things that, nobody needs that stuff, but that's how a lot of the stuff has been taken. So I looked into some of that, and that's kind of, the SRT badge is not going away. They're just revamping the engineering department. 68 Impala front fenders. The only thing I've got, Lane, is stuff that needs lower patches in them. 73 Impala, the best thing to do is give me a call after we get done, and I can give you some more details as far as what is there, what is missing. Adam, the SRT Tomahawk, have not seen that, no. So anyway, the other thing I did a little research on with Stalantis, just to kind of get an idea of where things might be going, was I looked up the new CEO, and just to kind of get a feel for what this guy was like. 70 Continentals, James, nothing there at all right now. Carlos Tavares is the CEO of Stalantis, which was the FCA and Peugeot merger, if you hadn't been keeping up with that. So I did a little research on him just out of curiosity, because that tells you a lot about maybe their personal opinions on some things. Let's see. Yeah, Grant. Yeah, give me a shout later. We can talk too, definitely. Let's see. Jeff, I called the other day about some 4052. Oh, Jeff, I did look. I haven't gotten anybody called back. I got a bunch of stuff checked right at the end of the week, but I have not gotten anybody called back, and I did not have those. I checked my big beds, and none of them had taillights on them. So, if you're on Facebook, go and throw a share out there too. If you got some friends you think might want to come hang out with us, be sure to throw a share out there, see if any of them want to get on with us. But when I did a little research on Carlos Tavares, the CEO, just to kind of get a feel for, is this guy a car guy? Is he a bean counter? Where, because that could give you an idea of where things may or may not be going. So that was something to think about as well. And he started at Renault in 81 is where his career started. And he actually went through the Renault Nissan alliance, and actually was with Nissan then, and basically was right behind Carlos Ghosn of Nissan, and realized he wasn't going any further. So he ended up leaving Nissan because he was after a CEO position. So so that kind of gave a little bit of background that he did come up through the auto industry. He's been in it for 40 years. He didn't come from a furniture company or anything like that, or a snack company or something. He came from all the way up through the automotive world. But what was interesting that I did find about him, and like I said, I didn't do a ton of research, but I did do a little bit just to get a feel for him. He's been an amateur race car driver since the age of 22. He's competed in the Rally Monte Carlo Historique, and he also collects classic cars. So, that's kind of gives you a little better idea, a little bit of feel too there. Let's see what else we got popping up. I'm getting behind on comments here. 79 Tasman likes the valve covers. Grant, what about the Renault AMC alliance around that time? I didn't get that deep into it. This was just some stuff I just looked up strictly on Tavares to kind of get a feel for maybe what the guy was kind of like. So I didn't dig real deep into every one of those mergers or anything like that. Robert, he's been wanting to hang out. Glad you got on with us, Robert. Old Car Guy's on. Thanks for being here, Jason. Be sure to check out Old Car Guy on YouTube as well. Mick, the 59 Chevy truck hood badge, I did get it off. I've got it laid here in the shop ready to package. So some stuff popping up on Facebook. As always, we are on two formats, YouTube and Facebook. So if you see me jumping back and forth, that's what comments I'm trying to keep up with. 66 Belvedere rear glass. Depends on which body style we're talking about on that. If you want to give me a call after we get done, we can get in. I can get the specifics from you on that. Let's see. Oh, Richard on the 37 Plymouth. Yes, I did get your voicemail. I was moving some other cars around today. Didn't get a chance to give you a shout back. So we'll definitely talk about that tomorrow. Let's see. Looks like we are caught up for the time being, at least on what I'm catching. I know I'm missing some tonight. And as always, I'm sure we're missing some. The systems aren't feeding me, but I'm trying to stay caught up. But 79 Tasman, we're talking about SRT and the Stalantis merger in general. Right now, we've been talking about Carlos Tavares, the CEO of the new company, and the fact that he is an amateur race car driver. He is a car collector. So obviously, we've got somebody, it's different stuff than what a lot of us are used to. Some of the cars it talks about in his collection, Peugeot, Alpine, Porsche, things like that, European stuff, which obviously you would expect from somebody, and that's where they're from. So that's what they are talking about on there, and what's going on with, if you got somebody that's a car guy running it and he's been around the business and likes cars, we've got a shot that some of these things like SRT and some of the stuff that we love won't completely go by the wayside. So that's always something to think about and keep up to date with and see how it goes. That's all we can do. There's nothing that any of us can do to change it or make it any different. But all we can do is keep our fingers crossed and, keep our fingers crossed that the guy at the head of the train, likes cars and wants to do the car stuff. So anyway, sweet Richard, thanks. Yeah, we'll probably talk tomorrow on that Plymouth stuff, Richard. Not a problem. Anyway, some other news that popped up this week. No auctions going on right now, but a couple of biggies coming up and some stuff starting to be announced at these next big auctions that are coming up. The 79 Tasman, that's right. And you did jump on late with us. We did cover SRT right before we talked about Tavares, that the badge is not going away. They broke up the engineering team and put them into their separate categories. Charger, Challenger, Jeep, those guys went into the different categories, but they are still going to use the SRT badge. It isn't going away at this point from what I read. But here in about a month, we've got a couple of big auctions coming up, both in Arizona. Going to be a lot of interesting things because Mecum and Barrett Jackson Barrett starts on the same weekend as Mecum is running. Robert, the style, the Stellantis shove European styles into American culture. We have no idea at this point. We don't know how that's going to play out, and there's not much that we can do about it. All we can do is kind of, keep our fingers crossed and hope. Header panel on the 80s Buick Regal in your yard, depends on which one, Jose, because 80s, there's a couple of different header panels in the 80s, and I don't know if you need a complete header panel, a bare header panel, things like that. So give me a shout when we get done or tomorrow, and we can sure talk about that. But the auction schedule that's coming up, Mecum is on one weekend in Phoenix, I think it's in one of the suburbs, but Barrett starts the same weekend for their week-long run. So it's going to be interesting to see how that shakes out and what happens in the industry. Barrett did have a big announcement this week that they are going to be running the original Super Snake again this year. Redneck engines, vintage garden tractors, nothing there. I got a buddy out in western Kansas who loves vintage garden tractors, and he's got tons of them. I find something like that, I just send him pictures and see if there's anything he's interested in. So there's a few of them in the new yard that in the building in the new yard that I bought, but don't even remember what all is in there. So I don't know much about them, and usually run them all by him first to see if there's anything that is of interest. But so there's a few in there, but not much. I don't know much about them. So. Anyway, let's see. Super Snake. They sold it in 15, I believe was the last time Barrett ran it, and it brought 5.1 million there in 2015. So it's going to be interesting to see. Obviously with Carroll Shelby's personal driver Cobra, hammering at 5.4. So, $6 million out the door basically on that car in January at Kissimmee. I'm sure, there again, something like that happens. It brings a few of the other comparable ones out of the woodwork. This Super Snake is going to be real interesting to see if it's going to surpass it, or if there's only one or two other guys in there that are looking for it. So it's going to be interesting to see how that shakes out. 67 to 72 Chevy trucks. I've got very little in 67 to 72 Chevy or GMC trucks. I've got about half a dozen of them, and a lot of those are fairly stripped. I've got a little bit of stuff for 67 to 72s. So the best thing to do would give me a call, give me a list of what you need, and I'll see if I've got it. But 67 to 72, I am not very strong in it. Mecum has some big collections that they're going to be running. They've got a 67 Corvette L88 Coupe, Daytona, a couple of Boss 9s, big Ferrari collection. That all starts, I believe, March 20th. So we're right at a month out from those auctions kicking off. Which is obviously, going to be a big, interesting week. Going to be a lot of news coming out that week and a lot of interesting things to keep tabs with and see what's going on. VW bugs, John, I don't have very many. I've got a few in the yard, nothing early at all. It's late 60s and 70s stuff is all I've got in bugs. So it's a month away. We'll see what happens. It's going to be interesting. We're kind of in a downtime right now. Obviously, Kissimmee was a big deal for Mecum, and Barrett pushed Scottsdale back into March, which is what is starting here in a month. So in kind of a downtime right now, but they're starting to put press releases out there for these big cars that are going to be there here in a month. So we'll definitely want to stay tuned as far as what's coming up and see what happens that week. Maddie's on with us. Thanks for being here, Maddie. 67 to 72 Ford pickup parts. I've got a lot of 68 to 72 stuff, Walter. I don't have any 67s. Which there's a few minor differences in the 67, but I've got a lot of 68 to 72. There again, Redneck's Chevy S10s. It depends on which Chevy S10 we're talking about. Because there's obviously several different ones. Do I have Chevy S10s? Yes, there's some there. Just depends on which one we're talking about. So, Adam's going to bail off with us. It's 1 o'clock in the morning in England, so. Appreciate you being on with us at least for a while, Adam. I know you hang out for a while and check out what we've got going on. So appreciate you being in there for at least part of the deal. Robert, a 68 Mustang Coupe still available. The 68 Mustang Coupes I've got, there's very, very, very little left of them. So it depends on what car you're talking about. But what I've got in 68, there isn't much there. 79 Tasman, can't wait for the auctions because, like I said, it's going to be interesting, especially with Mecum and Barrett basically going head to head. For a lot of years, Barrett was kind of the juggernaut of the deal, but Mecum has come on super strong. Mecum does way more auctions, moves a lot more iron, and now they're going to be going head to head on the same weekend. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. Interesting news, my buddy Robert. Springfield, Missouri is having 2 swap meets this year, May and the typical August one. So something to keep in mind there too is keep an eye out for swap meets in Springfield, Missouri. So 1:24 in England, 1:24 a.m. in England. So at least Adam got to hang out with us for a while. Project S10. There again, I've got some S10s, but I've got some square S10s. I've got some S10s in the 90s, things like that. So just depends on which one you're talking about, which one you're looking for. Let's see, Richard, mid-30s truck cab and a spare cab. Want to make a crew cab version. There again, stuff from the 30s, Richard. That's a pretty broad topic. You get into the early 30s, it's all wood structure. You get into the late 30s and it's all metal structure. So completely different looks, completely different designs, completely different cabs. So that when you say 30s, that's a pretty broad topic that we'll have to discuss and get some more details as far as exactly where you're wanting to go with that build to see if I've got anything here that might be able to help you out. So, anyway, who's ready for, I don't know if we've got Jason on with us tonight. I know he's been out on the road quite a bit. If Jason's got an OTR report and wants to throw that up there, our buddy Jason, who's an over-the-road truck driver, usually throws up some interesting tidbits of stuff he's seen out on the highway. So, caught a comment from Kevin that they had a gun show at Century 2 in Wichita, even though they did pull the plug on the swap meet. So they must have decided what they were going to do shortly after they decided to pull the plug on the swap meet. So Doug from Lincolnton's on with us. Thanks for being here, Doug. But who's ready to check out a cool old car magazine? Once again, when I got into this stuff, there's just so much cool stuff in it that it was kind of hard to, kind of get it narrowed down a little bit and try to not do the whole magazine. But what we've got tonight is a copy of Car Life from December 1966, which covers a lot of the new 67 stuff. So this is the magazine we're going to be talking about and looking at tonight. Obviously, all the Chevrolet line on the front, the Camaro, the Chevelle, and the full-size Impala or Caprice, one or the other, on the front cover. And a lot about the new for 1967 cars in this issue. So okay, make sure I'm caught up here. There's been a lot of stuff going on. So the 54 Buick doors, Ron, those doors are going to be a lot heavier to ship than what with their complete doors. That's why I told your son when he called that shipping was going to be a lot higher than what I told you originally, because of the weight of those doors being complete versus the weight of those doors being bare. That was the price difference. It's all shipping because they're so heavy for complete doors versus bare doors. So that's the difference in that. And that's what I told your son that when he called that was where we had a discrepancy versus what we had initially talked about. And when I told him, explained to him that the complete doors are going to be awful heavy, so shipping's going to be more. So I went over all that with him on the phone. If you got any other questions about it, you can always give me a shout. Lots of stuff popping up here. 79 Tasman, 67 Barracuda. There's a little 67 Barracuda stuff in here. One of the first things that popped up when I flipped this thing open, this is going to be kind of tough to see. I'll kind of try to hold it up. Big full 3-page fold out ad with all their performance models, the 442, the Corvette, the Camaro, the GS, the Chevelle, and the GTO. Real nice, cool color ad on that. And then we're going to get into the 67s. Grant's going to bail off. Well, thanks for getting on here for a while, Grant. Appreciate you swinging by. But the 67 Chevys, they had a really cool add-on, and it was basically designed to cover the SS models. Chevrolet Super Sports is where they were going with it, and it did cover the Chevelle, the Camaro, and the full size. So kind of a cool ad, and gives obviously a performance-oriented based ad. Gives a lot of the specifications for each one. Lots of cool pictures, and there again, this is in December 1966. People were just looking at what they were going to order for a 67 car. So, it had all the specs. It had pictures, a lot of cool information about Chevrolet Super Sports for 67. And a pretty neat article, and did give a lot of details as far as the engine availability, the horsepower, transmission options, things like that. And that's what but there again, like I said, that was new information at that time. That's what people wanted to know because they were thinking about what they were going to buy for that year. So that was kind of an interesting article. Something else that was kind of cool in here was an article on the Summer Nationals with some really cool drag racing footage, some really cool drag racing pictures, things like that. And even a few color pictures of some great in-action shots. So that was some really cool stuff to see too. Big metal brush guard for a 70 Ford pickup, Walter. I don't think I've got any of those that have a big brush guard on them. In that era of Ford pickup. So there's really cool drag racing coverage. Did give a breakdown of who won what at the Summer Nationals that year. So that was kind of cool as well for the different classes. It wasn't 67 the first year for optional disc brakes across GM lines. That sounds right, Robert. Obviously, it came out in Corvette in 65, so 67 an option across the line would be about right. So what other articles do we have? Oh, the Barracuda. Barracuda for 67. The game is Pony Car Poker. So that was kind of a neat article. Obviously, that was a redesigned Barracuda for that year, to where it was getting a little sportier than what it had originally been when it was based just strictly off the Valiant. That's kind of almost a trim package on a Valiant, it almost seemed like. And what was interesting about the Barracuda article was obviously it talked about the Formula S with the little 273 V8, but also it talked about the newly available 383. What was really interesting about the 383 part of it was what they had to do to put a 383 in it. A couple more comments popping up. Bumpers for a 63 Fairlane, Tony. I do not have any 63 Fairlanes at all, so nothing on that. The new 67 Camaro was covered in the SS article, Robert, on that as well. Let's see. But the 383, when they put the 383 in that A-body platform in 67, it was really interesting what they talked about. It required heavier suspension and rear axle, obviously, but they had to rework exhaust manifolds for it, and it was so tight that the way I read this article, now you got to remember, this is December of 66 when this was written, so this article was put together October, November of 66, that basically if you wanted an automatic in a 383 CUDA or Barracuda at the time, you had to order a floor shift because it was so tight where the column came through and the exhaust that they couldn't make the linkage fit. So you had to get an automatic on the floor. So that was kind of an interesting tidbit of information as well on that. Because and there again, they may have fixed that. I don't know. I don't know that much about those 67 and 69 Barracudas, but when they were first starting to shoehorn 383s into those cars, that's what it talked about in the article. And that's what's cool to go back and read some of this stuff. It gives you a more clear definition as to what was really happening and some things that you may be seeing on a car that you're building or restoring. It's like, why did they do it that way? Well, some of that stuff they kind of had to do on the fly, I think. So, how about some ads? Ads are always great, especially, and now we're talking about a lot of new for 67 stuff, which is always cool. A lot of great car ads, and I don't know, with this magazine, like I said, was Car Life, and apparently this was, all the new vehicle stuff for that time. There's a lot of new vehicle ads in here. The 67 Fairlane ad, which is a pretty cool ad. What else do we have? Oh, 67 Charger. So lots of really neat stuff. Like I said, there were so many of them, I kind of had to just start whittling them down. This one was kind of cool, even though it's not a new car ad. The old STP ad. That was a great looking ad too. Yeah, 79 Tasman. Yeah, Chrysler loves shoehorning engines in those cars. Well, it sounds like that's what they were doing. California just jumped on with us. Thanks for being here, California. Like I said, I kind of had to just start skipping over some of these and hitting some of them, but Sedate It Ain't, the 67 442. Ads for the new Shelby Mustang. 79 Tasman, was never a fan of the 66, 67 Charger, but I like them a lot more now. That's kind of how I feel about them as well. I was never a huge fan of those cars, but I've really started to appreciate them a lot more than I ever did before. They are a pretty neat car, an extremely unique design, and looking at them now today, they are a pretty cool car. And I'm a lot bigger fan of them than I was for sure back then. Let's see. Let's check out a few more ads, then we'll get into some classifieds. We talked a little bit about this stuff in the past, as far as some of these aftermarket manufacturers and the cool ads that they ran. And going back to the comment that Robert brought up a little bit ago about disc brakes, Kelsey Hayes disc brakes outsell all other American-made brakes. So there again, in 1967, disc brakes were, a novelty. They were something different. They were optional. Most cars didn't come standard with them. You had to order them. So, to the fact where they were advertising just strictly the disc brake package from Kelsey Hayes. So that kind of stood out, and I thought that was pretty cool, something kind of different. Let's see. What else did we have? Oh, another one of my favorite cars of all time. Great color ad on this one. The 1967 Buick Gs400. I've always loved the 67 GS. This is a really good looking color ad on a white G67 GS. I've even got a Star Wars air cleaner stashed just in case one day I do find a 67 GS. I came up with an air cleaner, so I held on to it. Let's see. One more ad, and then we're going to do some classified ads. This one was a little bit different. Obviously, we usually try to catch a J.C. Whitney ad. I didn't see a J.C. Whitney ad in this copy of Car Life. And like I said, maybe they did. Maybe since this magazine seems to be more geared toward new cars at the time, maybe that's why J.C. Whitney wasn't in this one. But what was in this one was the California Speed and Sport Shop. So all kinds of aftermarket accessories you could order from them. Nice full-page ad, kind of similar to what we're used to seeing with the J.C. Whitney ads. But that's kind of what I thought. That's kind of comparable, even though I don't see a J.C. Whitney ad. We'll check this one out tonight because it's kind of cool too. They did have classified ads in the back of this one as well, so we're going to catch a couple of those. James 67 Special, yeah, those are good. Same thing as 67 GS, basically. I am not subscribed to Motor Trend Online 79 Tasman, so that is not something I'm extremely familiar with. Let's check out a couple of the classifieds in here, then we're going to bail out of this one. Okay, there we go. So I hadn't got anything on Facebook in a little bit. It just hit right now. So Mark likes the Hemi valve cover too, so I thought it was kind of weird we hadn't had anything pop up on Facebook there for a minute. But anyway, classified ads. 79 Tasman Junkyard Gold. I've seen that pop up. I've never really watched much of it. Of course, I don't watch a lot of TV anyway, so but I have seen that, or I just haven't really studied it or watched much of it. But in the classified ads in this December 1966 Car Life, a couple of interesting things that that popped up. 1966 Cobra 427. Silver black, 6,000 miles. Perfect original dual 427. Best offer over $6,200, which sounds insane today. Of course, $6,200 in 1966 was a lot of money. But when you look at what those cars are bringing today, of a real big block Cobra, into the seven figures, and you see one advertised for $6,200, best offer over $6,200. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Another car that you could have picked up in December of 66 was a 1928 Duesenberg with a Bentley body, completely restored, one-off car, 15 grand. So there again, 15 grand was a ton of money in 66. But definitely kind of, just like I said, neat to see what they had these cars advertised for. How about a 1936 Rolls Royce? Mulliner coach-built body, 77,000 miles, $7,000. There again, sounds crazy today, but in 1966, 67, a ton of money. So anyway, let's see what else we got going. We got raffle coming up. We've got trivia coming up, and new inventory, things like that. So how about we do some trivia? And there again, as always, I'm going to keep an eye on the comments on both pages. Whoever's answer I see first that is correct is all I can go with. Sometimes they have a, we have a delay, and that's, and that's, that's the system. There's nothing I can do about it. Yeah, Mark made a comment. He said he talked to a guy who looked at a Cobra back in the day and said, why would I want that? It doesn't have a top. So, but there again, a lot of people back then had one vehicle. That was it. They had one vehicle that did everything. and that's part of life back then. So that's, a car without a top was a pretty huge deal because he was probably going to have to drive that thing rain, snow, or shine. So that was a big deal at the time. But there again, that's why we like to look at those old magazines. It takes us back and gives us a glimpse back at what it was really like back then when a lot of these cars that we really like today were new. So anyway, it looks like we're caught up on comments at this point. Okay, yeah, Richard, we get on details on that Plymouth stuff. Yeah, I've got a 39 Plymouth in stock as well. So, yeah, we can go over all the details on shipping stuff to you and him. I mean, I can ship stuff anywhere, so that's not a problem. But trivia for tonight on Toy Tuesday last week, we looked at some cool trucks, some cool carrier trucks, auto carriers, and, of course, we looked at some more cool badges out of my badge collection. There was a tag or badge off of a engine. What was that from? What company was that engine tag from? So I'll keep an eye on that one. That one might take a few seconds. That might be a little trickier, but I'm keeping an eye on comments on both pages to see what pops up first. And, while we're watching, maybe I'll show you what the winner's going to get tonight. Co-op diesel can. Cool graphics, cool colors on this one. This is one from our buddy Red Dog and Dodge that I got some cans from a few weeks ago. Cardboard can, but there again, these cardboard cans are not going to last like the metal cans did. So I have zero problem adding cardboard cans to my collection. And this is a pretty cool one with some cool graphics on it and nice colors. So forgot to show you that first. Still keeping an eye on comments. Nobody's gotten it yet. Like I said, that one might be a little bit trickier to get on that. Anyway, lives, I'm trying to do as many of the lives as I can on YouTube, just for the simple fact that just like we did a live on location yesterday when I picked up that Camaro, I'm going to bring you a lot more stuff on the Camaro, but like I said, trying to do 2 or 3 lives while I'm there trying to get a car loaded isn't always work. Toy Tuesday has been working YouTube as well because that's where I'm going to try to start doing more of the lives, just because so far we've had decent luck with it. And there's less confusion. I can post the notices on Facebook to let you guys know a little ahead of time that we're going to go live, but still working on trying to do most of that on YouTube. The raffle's coming up next week. For the mobile pump plate, this is a porcelain sign. It is off the front of a gas pump is where it originally came from. It is an original porcelain. Like we've talked about, $1 a piece. However much you send in is how many chances you're going to get. You send me $5, you're going to get 5 chances into the can. We're going to put everything in the big Buick oil can next week. Couple of reasons I'm going to use this one. It's a big can. Put a lot of chances in there. Get my hand in it easy. Plus, it's a really cool can. It's one of my favorites. So we're going to put all the chances in the big Buick can next week and send that sign off to somebody. Now, who's in at this point? What I've gotten so far, if I don't announce your name and you have attempted to PayPal me or send me something, be sure to call me and let me know to make sure that I'm not missing anything. George Collada, you are in. Denise Carr is in. Jess is in. Chris Powers, Ironhead Garage is in. And Jason Withrow is in. There we go. Lee got it. Bessemer, the Bessemer Engine Company. Lee's our winner tonight. I knew that one might take a second. That was a little bit trickier of one to get. Classic Ride Society in Texas just jumped in with us. Glad you made it. But yeah, the Bessemer Engine Company, that was kind of a different one. It was a little bit tricky. That's kind of why I used it tonight. But Lee on YouTube is our winner tonight. So if you want to give me a shout when we get done, Lee, either later tonight or tomorrow, I will sure get this can boxed up and on the way to you. But something kind of different. You know, the specifications on that tag were kind of crazy when we think about what we see today versus, you know, what engines were doing at the turn of the last century. So, but anyway, back on the raffle, that's who's in at this point. If you want to get in, be sure to either PayPal me, or if you want to send me a check. We've had a few people ask about sending a check, but obviously we'll need to get that on the way fairly quickly so I get it here by next Friday, or I guess I could come in Saturday's mail. So if you're planning on mailing me a check, be sure to get that out tomorrow or Tuesday, so I hopefully have it by the end of the week and get you in the drawing. If not, we can roll it into the next one. But as always, just throw a PayPal. If you want to just hit me on PayPal, put a note in there and make sure either your name or your handle is on there, and a way to contact you if you are the winner and you're not on with us next Sunday night. So anyway, the names I just rattled off, I've already got those. I've printed them off, and I'll get your names in the can and be ready for next Sunday night. So anyway, looks like we're all caught up at this point on comments. Okay, new inventory. It was a busy week last week. Had several cars come in, or not several, I think I had 3 come in, and a load of parts. Picked up an entire pickup load of 52 Studebaker car parts. So if you're doing a 52 Studebaker, or know somebody doing a 52 Studebaker, I basically filled the whole back of my truck with extra parts from a guy that had restored one. Grills, radios, lots of other trim pieces. Haven't even gone through it all. Headlight assemblies, just loaded it all in the truck, came back and unloaded it into the building. Haven't even started sorting through it yet. So lots of 52 Studebaker car parts came in this week. 37 Plymouth 4-door, basically a complete car. A little bit of rust in the body, but grill's almost perfect on it. The fenders are there, the trim's there, the bumpers are there, the dash and all the garnish and everything is there. It is a 4-door. But basically, pretty much the front axle is out of the car, but it's there. So tons of good stuff there, especially on that 30 stuff, which you don't come across very often. Also picked up a really slick 92 Caprice Classic this week. I don't know if some of you may have seen the post. Jumped in it, drove it home, set the cruise, turned the heater on, turned the radio on, set the cruise, and drove it home. Pretty slick old car. Supposed to be pretty nice here tomorrow. I'm going to try to get it washed up and do a quick video on it. 65 F100's got to bail off. Thanks for getting on tonight. Glad you made it for a while. But pretty nice old Caprice. Literally was your proverbial little old lady's car. Still has an expired handicap tag on it, as a matter of fact. So it was actually a little old lady's car. Believe it or not, that's exactly where it came from. But a pretty sharp car. It's going to need buffed out, touched up. Pinstripe needs some pinstripes, needs redone. Interior's nice. Car drove out great, factory aluminum wheels. So excited about that car. We're definitely going to be bringing you something on that one. And that's going to make somebody a really cool cruiser. Kind of crazy to think about something from 92 is old now, but 92, that's almost 30 years. Antique in Kansas is 35 years. So kind of weird to back up to that and say, a 92 is interesting and starting to be somewhat collectible, but that's where we're headed. And this was, like I said, it's not perfect. It's an original car, but it's a slick old car, runs out and drives out great. So Classic Ride Societies rolls with an 89 Caprice. So there again, just a little bit different. I just found a 71 Corvette, just needs paint. It sounds like a good project there. Another old lady in a garage find. So that's what happens. Yeah, there's a lot of that stuff out there. Yeah, like Jess said, means we're all getting old. Yeah, stuff from the late 80s, early 90s is starting to be old and collectible. Yeah, that affects all of us. Unfortunately, it affects all of us. And then the live on location that we did yesterday. I hope a lot of you caught that. We got some more videos coming on this car, and I am super, super excited about it. 79 Tasman used to have an 89 Caprice. Yeah, that 80s and 77 to 90 Caprice, and then the 91 to 96 Caprices and Roadmasters are starting to get really popular and hard to find. So if anybody on Facebook is commenting, nothing's popped up in several minutes, which is really, really odd for Facebook. So just keep that in mind. If you are commenting, Facebook is not feeding me at this point. But the live on location I did yesterday, I shot some more videos while we were there on the 1974 Camaro Z28. And I am beyond stoked about this car. No, actually, Robert, I graduated in 93, so it was not quite new, but it was almost still new. So, but the 74 Z28, like I said, I'm beyond jacked up about that car. And James on YouTube, he started working on cars in 74. I was born in 74, so that's part of the reason I'm so excited about this Z28 is it's an August of 74 build, and I was born in October of 74. Always loved the 74 Z28, extremely unique car. The last year for the Z28 for a couple years, Ironhead, that was his first car. I got your comment. Ironhead was on with us yesterday on YouTube. He caught that right away. So, okay, we get a comment on YouTube from 67 Tempest that Facebook is having a lot of lag tonight. So maybe that's where we've got an issue there. Thanks for that, 67 Tempest, for checking out both formats and throwing it up there for us. 79 Tasman was going into high school in 93. I graduated in 93. James was born in 62, started working on cars in 74. Tim hopped over to YouTube from Facebook due to lag as well. So that's so we do apparently have some Facebook feed issues tonight. Andrew jumped in with us as well. The Caprice and Roadmaster wagons from the 90s, those are great cars. So yeah, Jess, October's a great month because it's my birthday month, not yours. You can't have it anymore. I'm going to take it. So anybody that was on us in October, no, October was Jess's birthday month because she told us every week. So, but that's okay. We're just having a good time, and that's the whole point of being on here. So, but the 74 Z28, we did the live on location. The building I pulled it out of yesterday is where that car has been since 1984. So, pretty cool to get in and do that. Jody graduated in 99. So yeah, now I'm starting to feel old. Thanks, Jess. She's going to let me borrow October for my birthday month since it's hers also. But, so Robert's a 61 model. Yeah. So that's what's kind of crazy. So that's what I'm excited about on this Camaro. After we did the live on location, we shot a couple of more videos. I did a walk around on the car in the building, pulled the cover all the way off of it, did a walk around, showed you some details of what we could see in the building where it was tucked up against the wall. Rico, who is Jess's boyfriend, if you didn't know, makes a simple comment of, I need a drink. So we're all there with you, brother. So we got your back, Rico. We'll hang in there. We'll support you. So Good Point Classic Ride Society, the 91-92 Olds Custom Cruiser. Built on that platform as well. Something else I hadn't thought about. I mentioned the Roadmaster and the Caprice, but I missed the Oldsmobile. Thanks for throwing that in. But after we did the live on location, we did a walk around on the 74 Z28, plus the former owner who has owned that car since 1976. He bought it when it was 2 years old. It was his first car. He took a few minutes, did a video with us, and explained a lot of his history with the car. He was a third-generation Chevrolet dealer, so he was kind of dyed-in-the-wool Chevy. Tells us a little bit about his family history with the dealerships dating back into the 40s and some history on this car since it was his. Okay, Robert's claiming November, so Robert must be a November birthday month. So that's cool. We'll have that story to go with the car. Tomorrow night I'll probably post both of those, the walk around in the building, as well as the video with the former owner giving some details about his experience with the Chevrolet, being a third generation Chevrolet dealer, and this being, a car that he had driven and saved for years. So kind of a cool addition to the story. We'll probably throw those up tomorrow night. Today I took it to the car wash, blasted the top layer of crud off of it, and got it off the trailer, and then did another full, little more detailed walk around video. We dumped out a lot of the new old stock parts that came with it, and looked at a bunch of that stuff as well on the video that I shot today. So I don't want to do all the Camaro this week, so we'll probably do one tomorrow night, and then we'll probably do the full walk around later this week or first of next week. So definitely got some cool videos coming on the 74 Z28. At this point, it's probably looking like a car that I'm going to keep. I'm that excited about it. Car's in great shape. From what I can see, of what I can find, everything is right on it. check the carb number, intake number, some of that stuff that I could easily see. Everything checks out on it. There again, and we're already starting to see this. We're already starting to see regret on cars from the 90s. Lane made a comment on Facebook. He had a 92 Roadmaster wagon and sold it about 5 years ago, and said already should have never sold it. And that's kind of the crazy part about it. We're starting, that's obviously a big driving factor in our hobby is the memories and regaining our youth, or and the things that we liked and brought back good memories. And we're already starting to see that from cars from the 90s. So that's why I was so excited to pick up this 92 Caprice. 79 Tasman loves the early 70s Camaros. That's true. Yeah, that's true. Ironhead Garage, that stuff's getting hard to find, and it's getting valuable. So the 74Z, like I said, at this point, it's probably going to be, one I'm going to keep. Like I said, I got the crust blasted off of it today and got it stuck back in a corner of one of my shops. So, like I said, really excited about that car. James started with Corvairs in 74 and still has them. So that's a pretty good dedication to the mark. That's for sure. Robert's birthday is all the same numbers, 11, 16, 61. That is kind of weird. It's all ones and sixes. That is kind of different. So anyway, that's what's coming. That's what I picked up this week for new inventory. And we're going to definitely get you a video on the Plymouth. We'll definitely get you a video on the Caprice once I get it hosed off. It's just kind of dusty and crusty. Then, like I said, after I get when I get time, I'm going to get it buffed out, touched up, cleaned up really good, and get that thing on the market, because that's going to make somebody a great cruiser. Really excited about it. So that's kind of what we're talking about next week on videos. Going to try to get out to the yard. Yeah, that's right, 79 Tasman. You don't see too many 74 Camaros. And that's one thing we talk about a lot in the video. There's so many things that are unique to the 74 Camaro. They had to go to the crash bumpers that year, which a lot of people don't like. Last year for the small back window. Last year, first year for the wraparound taillights. The only year for the big black callouts on the hood and trunk lid, which this car was not equipped with, but got a feeling it's going to have them if I do the car, because I love those. And in the video that I did today, after I've got the car cleaned up, and the video I shot today at my shop, where we did a real detailed walk around the car, went through the Newell stock stuff. There's some twists in that. Is not only do I like the car because it's a 74, but there's some other twists to that story about memories and what these vehicles do to take us back to a certain time or a certain memory. I got one of those that's a pretty good story I've got mixed in on the video I shot today. So we won't post that till later this week or first of next week. We'll get the ones up. We'll start an order and get the ones up where it was still in the building where it had been since 84. William, how many miles? I think it's showing like 90,000, 93,000, I think is what it showed when I looked today. So that's, I'm sure that's correct. But I think that's what it showed, and I'm sure that's probably original, because that would be about right for, 8 years of driving and then parked it. So anyway, that's what's coming up. We're going to get out the yard tomorrow. We're going to shoot some stuff. We'll try to get the Plymouth shot. I still haven't done one on the 62 Thunderbird we brought in a couple weeks ago. So we've got some new inventory we need to get squeezed in there, as well as the stuff I bought last week, and get some of that stuff caught as well. But yeah, 79 Tasman had a 74 Trans Am with a 455, which was obviously a great car. And, in 74, you didn't have a lot of options if you wanted anything performance-oriented. But you still could get a 455 in a Trans Am, and you could order the Super Duty 455 in the Trans Am in 74, only available in 73 and 74. And I was kind of curious, so I looked that up the other night just out of curiosity, since I was buying this 74, that the Super Duty option on a Trans Am was $600 on a car that, base price was about $3,500. So that Super Duty option was expensive if you wanted to get any sort of performance out of a car in 74. So Classic Ride Society, people are still junking 91 or 96 B bodies. And that's true. There's 4 of them in his local pick and pull. And that's going to happen. I mean, I've only got one Roadmaster in the yard, but that's there again, cars that, if I can find some, I would love to get them while I can and get them added to the rows out there, because that stuff's going to be so tough to come up with, in the future. And they're such great cars. I literally kind of had to readjust my brain when I was driving it, because I haven't driven a big car like that in so long, where you could just set the cruise and just float down the highway. So it was kind of neat. It was kind of cool. It kind of took me back, because the cars today, I mean, we're used to how stuff rides today, and it's totally different, when I wasn't used to driving a sofa down the highway anymore. So I literally kind of had to stop and reprogram my brain a little bit to get used to it. Robert also had a 74 TA. And, back in the day, back in the 70s, the Trans Am was, a lot sharper car, I think, than the Z28 in a lot of aspects. And they still, like I said, 74, you could still get a 455 in them. The Z28 was stuck with a 350. Obviously, the stories I get into on the video we shot today will bring some of that into perspective as to why I'm so passionate about the 74 Z28, on top of the fact of the uniqueness of the 74Z and all the differences that are strictly 74, plus me being a 74 model as well. Oil embargo lasted till March of 74 is what Robert told us. So that's good information too. I knew it was right in that area, so that was good to throw that up there. So anyway, yeah, Super Duties are bringing big bucks, that's for sure. 79 Tasman, his was a regular 455. Yeah, the Super Duties are bringing crazy money. I've got a buddy that's got a shop in Ellis, Kansas, Big Creek Restorations. He did 2 Super Duty cars a few years ago, a Trans Am and a Formula Super Duty, which was something a little different. That's correct, Classic Ride Society. That's what we were just talking about, the small back, 74 being the last year of the small back window. But the first year of the crash bumpers and the different taillights and things like that. So Ironhead's a 75 model, so we're pretty close in there. We must still be having lag issues with Facebook, because I'm getting a pretty steady flow of comments on YouTube and almost nothing on Facebook. So we must still have lag issues on Facebook tonight. I don't know what the problem is there. Apologize for anybody commenting over there that is not getting to me. But apparently something's not working right over there. So anyway, that's about what I've got for tonight. I'll keep my eye open on comments for a few more minutes as we get ready to wrap up. As always, thanks for stopping by tonight, guys. I really appreciate you guys swinging by, spending some time here. This would mean nothing without you. We had great comments, great feedback, great interaction tonight, and all your guys' interaction is what really makes this happen. But like I said, anybody that has questions like we talked about, be sure to give me a call. Either later tonight or tomorrow. And if I miss you, be sure to leave me a message, and I'll get back with you either later tonight or tomorrow as time permits. Glad you got on tonight, Robert. I don't think I've seen you pop up before, so you must be new to us. I'm glad you made it. We do have a lot of fun on here. Hope you can make it back next week. As always, if you want to get in on the raffle, be sure to get me PayPal as soon as possible. So next weekend when I get all the names, get everybody's name written down for as many times as you have a chance put in there. If you buy 10 chances, you're going to have 10 slips in the Buick can on Sunday night. So I need to have all that prepared before I get on on Sunday night. Scott, does it still work? I'm not sure what we were at on that, or I missed something there. Dan just found a Newell stock Packard engine in a barn. That sounds interesting. Still in the crate. That's going to be kind of cool to pop that open and see what you found there. That's kind of an interesting find. But that's what I've got for tonight. As always, thanks for stopping by, everybody. This is it's a great time. I can't believe we're over a year into doing this, and it's all because of your guys' involvement and interaction. So I really do appreciate you coming by. It means a lot to me. Can't believe you guys do it. I mean, but you do, and we're having a blast. I never in a million years thought that I would ever be doing video stuff like this, much less have all you guys jump on and have a great time and talk about old car stuff. So we'll see what happens this week. Like I said, stay tuned for the videos that are coming out. We'll do Toy Tuesday live on YouTube. I got some cool military stuff for Tuesday night. So at least it's practice stuff, so it won't explode on us. So at least it's not live armament, but it's going to be interesting. It's a couple of pretty neat pieces. We'll dig through the badge box a little more. So be sure to jump on YouTube Tuesday night for Toy Tuesday. We'll throw up the first couple of Camaro videos in the building where that car has been since 1984 tomorrow night. Get some more stuff shot in the yard that we'll be throwing up there Wednesday and Friday. And be back here again next Sunday night. So thanks a lot, everybody. Vic, Don, thanks for the comments on there. Ironhead. So that's what I have for tonight. So thanks, everybody. Keep an eye, double check all the comments. I know I missed some tonight. We got scrolling pretty. Facebook didn't feed, and Facebook and YouTube got scrolling pretty quick there for a while. So I'm sure I probably missed some stuff on YouTube, but that's going to happen, and I apologize for that. We try to keep up with what we can here. So thanks a lot, everybody. Stay tuned. More cool videos coming up. Got any questions, give me a shout. Numbers on the pages. And we will see you, if nothing else, back here next Sunday night. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you soon.